Prophet Muhammad is often portrayed as a warrior, a man of conquest. This image, however, is a far cry from the historical reality. It's crucial to delve into the context of his life to understand the man behind the myth. Muhammad's story is not one of aggression, but of resilience, defense, and a profound commitment to building a just and equitable society. His early years were marked by peace. He was known for his honesty and integrity. The violent image often associated with him is a later construct, one that ignores the historical realities and complexities of his time. Examining his life through a purely militaristic lens robs us of understanding his message of peace, justice, and compassion. The historical Muhammad was a man of peace, forced into conflict by circumstance. Born in Mecca in the 7th century, Muhammad was known for his piety and thoughtfulness. His early message centered on the oneness of God and social justice. He challenged the social injustices of his time. His message was met with resistance from the Meccan elite. They felt threatened by his growing influence. His followers faced persecution and abuse. Despite hostility, Muhammad remained committed to peace. He urged his followers to respond with patience and perseverance. Facing escalating threats, Muhammad and his followers were forced to flee Mecca in 622 CE. This migration, known as the Hijra, marked a turning point in Islamic history. They found refuge in Medina, a city north of Mecca. In Medina, Muhammad played the role of a community leader, establishing a social order based on justice and equality. However, the Meccans, fearing the growth of this new community, continued their aggression. The battles that ensued were not acts of aggression, but acts of self-defense. They were fought to protect the nascent Muslim community from annihilation. Muhammad, even in these dire circumstances, never wavered from his principles of justice and compassion. He consistently sought peaceful resolutions, emphasizing that warfare was a last resort, only to be undertaken when all other options had been exhausted. It was about survival, not conquest. Section 4. Rules of Engagement. Restraint and Compassion in Warfare. Even when engaged in war, Muhammad insisted on strict ethical guidelines. He forbade the killing of non-combatants, including women, children, the elderly, and religious figures. He prohibited the destruction of crops and property. His soldiers were ordered to treat prisoners of war with respect and dignity. These rules, revolutionary for their time, underscored his commitment to minimizing suffering and upholding human dignity even in the midst of conflict. His compassion extended even to his enemies. He understood that violence begets violence and sought to break the cycle of retribution. He believed in forgiveness and reconciliation, even offering amnesty to his former enemies after victories. These principles, enshrined in Islamic tradition, stand in stark contrast to the image of a bloodthirsty conqueror. They reveal a leader deeply committed to justice, compassion, and the sanctity of human life. Section 5. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah. A testament to the Prophet's desire for peace. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah, signed in 628 CE, stands as a powerful testament to Muhammad's commitment to peace. This treaty, signed with the Meccans, was seen by some of his followers as unfavorable. It seemingly granted concessions to the Meccans while delaying the Muslims' pilgrimage to the Kaaba, a sacred site in Mecca. However, Muhammad recognized its strategic importance. The treaty brought a much-needed 10-year peace, allowing Islam to flourish without the specter of war. It paved the way for peaceful dialogue and eventual reconciliation. This event demonstrates his pragmatism and his willingness to make difficult decisions for the greater good of his community. It underlines his belief that diplomacy and dialogue were far more valuable than military victories. Section 6. Building a Just Society. Muhammad's vision beyond the battlefield. Muhammad's goal was the establishment of a just and equitable society. He envisioned a community where the vulnerable were protected and knowledge and compassion were paramount. He advocated for the rights of women, orphans, and the poor. His teachings emphasized charity, kindness, and social responsibility. He established laws that promoted fairness and discouraged exploitation. His legacy is one of justice, compassion, and dignity for all human beings. Section 7. Conclusion: understanding Muhammad, a legacy beyond the misconceptions. To label Prophet Muhammad as merely warlike is to disregard the historical realities and complexities of his life. His story is one of resilience, defense, and an unwavering commitment to building a just and compassionate society. He was a man of peace, thrust into conflict by circumstance. His military engagements were defensive, guided by strict ethical codes that emphasized restraint and the preservation of life. His legacy is not one of conquest, but of building a just and equitable society. He promoted education, social welfare, and the protection of the vulnerable. Understanding the historical Muhammad requires moving beyond simplistic narratives. It necessitates engaging with the nuances of his life and times, recognizing his unwavering commitment to peace, justice, and the inherent dignity of all human beings.